prior to doing what I'm doing now, which is more kind of freelancing work in social change, I was the CEO of Beyond Blue, and prior to that, the CEO of Lifeline. My time, particularly with Lifeline Australia, was probably the time when I really did experience being in the zone. And I'll just relay one story which explains one experience in that. But I really felt right from the start that I was in the zone really the whole time as the CEO of Lifeline. That was for 10 years, which is a long time. But it was that thing of being in the right place. I was doing the work that I should be doing at that time in my life. And for me, being a CEO is much more of a creative pursuit than it is a technical one. There is a lot of technical knowledge, as there is with anything, but there's an awful lot of creativity and using your gut and following your gut. So the experience that I had was we were in a critical point as far as needing funding for Lifeline. I had tried a range of ways to get the attention of the Prime Minister, so particularly to get the government's enthusiasm about giving this amount of money. It was a lot of money. We were asking for about $3 million at the time, and it was on top of another $10 million they'd already given us. So it was a top-up. And I worked with the bureaucrats and worked with the senior advisors, and they'd all said, there is no money, you're not going to get it. So a lovely senator that I had worked with over the whole time to assist with our lobbying efforts said, why don't you come with me to a breakfast, which is part of the Liberal Party's setting their policy frameworks, and you can buy a seat to sit at this breakfast, and then you get 3 minutes with a number of politicians of your choice. So it's kind of a funny fundraiser thing that the Liberal Party does. Anyway, I went along to this breakfast with my friend Senator Tierney, who's just a wonderful, wonderful man. And Senator Tierney has had polio as a child, so he walks with a limp, and he's quite slow the way he walks and the way he proceeds through life. He's just very deliberate and quite slow. So we did the breakfast, we heard all the speeches, John Howard and all the other ministers that got up and talked, and then there was, of course, John Howard left the breakfast, and there's a flurry of cameras that just, camp around him and walk along. And John said, come on, we'll just follow this crowd and see where we get to. We followed the Prime Minister, we couldn't get anywhere near him. So we decided to go up to the third floor, which is where these 2 or 3 minute meetings were. We didn't have any plan with anybody. And John said, I'll just hop in the lift here. And I didn't know, but he saw that the person that we hopped in the lift with was the Chief of Staff for the Prime Minister. So we got in. Within a second, he knew John, so he said hello. He introduced the senior bureaucrat to myself, encapsulated within 2 or 3 minutes what our problem was and what we needed. He said, you need to talk to the person who was the social policy advisor for the Prime Minister. The lift doors opened, and there she was standing right there.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. So Peter Nuttall, who was the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff at the time, said, there she is, just go and tell her your problem. So we went and talked to Perry Spurling, and because she had been advised by Peter Nuttall to speak to me and to John, she at first said, no, look, there isn't any money, we can't help you with this, there's just no way. But then as we were finishing off the conversation, the Prime Minister walked past and recognised us and said hello and said all these positive things about Lifeline and how important Lifeline is to him and how critical a service it is for the community and how we need to do all we can to support it. And she just turned around and said, I think that's your answer, you've got the money. So what would have been, an impossible scenario to have planned, you couldn't have organised that, you couldn't have orchestrated it any better, but it was just that series of events that happened in exactly the right sequence, people coming along at the right time, and we got our answer within 2 hours.